Welcome back to the Claw Pod. My name is the AntMan, your host, sitting next to Ross and Marshall Von Erich. Welcome back from spring break, guys. Did you go to South Padre or to Daytona?
Well, we had a good spring break. There's no spring break like spring break 98, baby. But,
what was 98? What was 98 for you guys?
What were you doing in 98?
Yeah.
What was I not doing? You know,
I was drinking bottles and...
I was drinking bottles, all right. You know what I'm saying? Let's switch subjects.
How old were you in 98, Marshall?
Dates are over, we talk about dates too much.
Yeah.
You guys are still talking about that?
Still talking about. Speaking of spring break, I was going to read a few comments here. We have kayfabe was the last. The death of kayfabe was the last podcast that we dropped 2 weeks ago, and I've got some I want to hit. But the first one said most kids on spring break try to hide from their parents how much they partied. The Von Erichs try to hide how much they break kayfabe. This is one of your diehards too, guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they saw you go into your car. They saw y'all yelling at each other like brothers do.
Man,
they must have.
I feel like we could talk about the death of kayfabe on so many podcasts because, oh gosh, I do wish.
It's a reoccurring theme just in the wrestling world. You know,
do you guys talk about this backstage too?
Yeah, constantly. Yeah. It's weird. It's like wrestlers will be like, you'll be going over your match or whatever, and they're like, oh, kayfabe. Some fans is like, dude, man, we're all standing together after the match. It's they'll come right up to you and all that stuff. But my nephews, all of my nieces, my sons, they all think this is 100% real because I want. While it's because that's not always going to be an option. They'll smarten up eventually, but it is special when they do believe it. And my son thinks I'm the man right now. He can't wear a match last night, and I told him that his cheers meant more than anyone else's. And when I heard it, he's so shy, very introverted. So when he for him to yell, what Ross knows, for him to yell is a big deal. And he yelled, and I saw Ross. I was hoping Ross heard it, but he yelled, and Ross was like dead selling. And right when Solomon said, he heard Solomon's voice, his finger twitched, and he looked at him, and he's like looking at Solomon with like you're doing it. It was really cool. It was a cool moment.
I mean, it was really cool having a match at our house last night. That was
the coolest experience ever.
Yeah, ranch RVW, right?
RCW.
I'm sorry.
And we finally did it, man.
Speaking of Ross Von Erich, RVE. RCW.
And that's a good name for a promotion.
That's right.
Sounds like like an indie promotion, doesn't it?
But you know, so we live out in the middle of the country, and our dream was to do professional wrestling. And Ross and I, we believe that God can do anything, and we believe that we're out here for a reason. All that, it's like literally right when we moved out here, a few months later, AEW came, and that wasn't even like in stone when we moved out here. It was kind of out of faith, and we're gonna go out there and give our lives to wrestling and watch what God does. So AEW came. It was like a perfect pattern movie, all this stuff that we didn't control. And I figured out what I was talking about, but it was an awesome point.
You know what's crazy? I noticed, Marshall, that like whatever we assume over the long period of time, like whatever you believe, like things kind of start moving in that direction. If you've noticed that,
we spoke life about it. We were cool. Yeah. I mean, we really did speak life and into our wrestling careers. We believe that Von Erich will be a household name. Why has God not shut the door to this point? And we knew we were doing the right thing by just trying as hard as we could every match and all that. But to do it on our ranch, man, Ross and I talked about this like 7 years ago. It was like, what if this is in Hawaii when things were stale during COVID, like what if we had like a barn in Texas and we just put like, small little shows together, invite the wrestlers' families out. And then as we built this relationship with RCW, we see the idea kind of coming to life. And it's, instead of it just being wrestlers' families, we're having people come out. Dude, people came out from New York, Milwaukee, everywhere, Louisiana, Mississippi. And we're out in the middle of nowhere. And it's almost like intriguing that, wow, there's pro wrestling out here. It might be a little hot spot. We'll see for pro wrestling.
That's fun.
When somebody tells you they traveled like hundreds of miles, like, or even 1,000 miles in a few cases at that show, it's like, man, you feel this like sense of responsibility. You came all this way. You can't let them down, So we left it all out there, but
man.
Incredible.
And I felt rusty as crap, man. I was a sissy because, you know, I tore my pec on a drop kick, and there's this drop kick artist there. It's this guy. Me and Ross love this fan that all he does is rate drop kicks. And
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And so me and Ross, we were really high on his list. He's like, I believe you two are in the top 5. And so when he's there, you got to try a little harder. You got to try a little harder.
I got it.
And man, you can just tell I didn't fully trust God because I didn't jump as high as I could. I didn't land. I was landing with the thought of, I was just mad at myself. I was like, you said you had faith. You should have just fully committed.
Let's go.
And I don't want to wrestle like, oh, there's too much at stake. What if I get hurt and can't do this at AEW? I really want to treat every match like it's mine. And it sounds dumb. I mean, like it's my last, and it sounds dumb, but I almost felt like I not dishonored everybody, but I have to commit, you know.
And another thing, during a match, don't ever tell me that drop kick I just did sucked.
No. I said your drop kick, dude.
Oh, okay. My drop kick. Okay. That makes sense. Okay.
Did they leave the ring?
The promotion?
Yeah.
No, I mean, we tried. I stole some turnbuckle covers.
I don't live, is it?
You wish.
Probably shouldn't have said that. Probably should have said that when we stopped recording here. Say that off the mic. Here they coming after you for some turnbuckle covers now. We got a fun topic today talking about gear, but first I want to hit a few comments from our last one. Now, I gave you one about spring break, but we had one from Ace Goodhart. Honestly, kayfabe can be brought back. This is talking about our last podcast on the death of kayfabe. First of all, humans are gullible and easily manipulated.
I like this guy. Keep going.
I hate to say that, but it's true. Secondly, wrestlers must rid themselves of all social media, or they must utilize it only to further their kayfabe.
Thirdly, who is this, man?
I love this.
Ace Goodhart. That sounds like a wrestler's name. Maybe he is.
Gosh, dude.
He might be a promoter here.
Delete my Instagram right now.
Thirdly, create storylines that feel real. Agree with that one. And last of all, wrestlers must remain in character while in public. Yes, kayfabe could come back if they really wanted it to. I would love to see it happen. That's from
if I had a promotion right now, I would take the keys out of the ignition and say, "Here you go, Goodhart. You can drive."
And just give it to
yeah, that's literally our same exact feelings on it. You know.
Yeah.
Wrestling, it would work. It really would work.
Good.
Not the scary thing, but with social media, and I mean, it's just human nature, but it seems like it gives wrestlers almost more selfish motive because everybody wants that viral moment. And it's frustrating because pro wrestling was never that way. And you see guys that will do like a move that no one does, and it goes viral on the internet. And then they get booked a ton doing that move and all that stuff.
Right.
But I don't know if it was like that back then. You might know better than me, Anthony, if it was like that back then. But I don't know. I just don't really,
you know what's in 2020 is when you saw that like crazy, especially during COVID. They would be like, you would see clips of somebody doing something nuts that nobody's ever seen, and then that. For that 15 minutes or for whatever, how many weeks it was, like it was all everybody was talking about. Like,
the thing.
People would just get there 15 minutes. I remember Simon Gotch, Seth was telling me one time, is like things just happen in cycles. Like everybody, it just comes to everybody at one point, and it's up to you what you do with it.
Yep. Simon Gotch would be a great guest to have one day, man.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Dude, he is.
Oh man, he knows you can go over any topic and he can give you.
He's just so smart, and he's been like that his entire career. We met him at Harley Race's school when we first got into pro wrestling, and it was actually to that thing was to go to Pro Wrestling Noah. To get a chance to go to Pro Wrestling Noah, and we didn't understand the gravity of how big that was or any of that. We got invited and realized now it's such a huge blessing. But I want to shake every dude's hand that was there that had been wrestling for years and years and years to get that opportunity.
Well, wrestling, while it's akin to movies and such, where you have actors portraying whatever, and that's what it's often referred to, you don't have actors living out that life outside of the movie. But you also wrestling, you as opposed to a movie, you don't get to sit there and watch it happen in front of you either.
No.
To watch the movie open up, the story play out on the stage in front of you. Even, I guess you could relate it to Broadway in some way, where you have actors like that are performing live in front of you. But it's kind of a mix of both. But I think it's the only thing that I know that where people take it so incredibly serious of the actors portraying the people that they are in the ring or on their screen. Nobody's going after Tom Cruise because he wasn't running after the car. He was flagging down his Bentley and what have you. You see him on Mission Impossible running in every scene. Just because he doesn't do that in real life, getting on to him. Another one here said, off today's topic, but I've always wanted to hear. I'm sorry, that one I'm saving for later. I'm one of those weird people that seeing the behind the scenes does not take away from the show. I would probably appreciate it more if I knew how different the person was from their character, because that means they're just that talented and good at performing.
Okay. Do you really feel that way, or do you really? It's a curiosity because it's you want. I don't know. I'm trying to make it deeper than it really is. Yeah, you're probably right.
When you said the celebrity thing, I bet a lot of people wish that celebrities would act more like their characters.
Yeah, sometimes.
A lot of times in real life, they're a-holes.
What I was going to say about that last question, like when you're a kid and you want to see your presents, you open them and you before Christmas, and you take a peek. Christmas Day comes, you're kind of bummed out because you know what's in there. So I think maybe it's intriguing to fans that like to know that it's a work. Like, I want to know that it's acting and all that stuff. But for some people, it is harder to get into the match. Like, when I'm watching a movie, as soon as I know they're acting, it ruins the movie for me. And that happens occasionally. My wife does that to me. And it makes me so mad. We're watching a movie and you realize that she'll say something like, "Oh, watch that guy, how he does this when he's acting." And it ruins the whole movie. I can't watch it anymore. And so maybe they think they want to know more.
Yeah. When you're watching a movie, the loudest thought in your head is this: they're not acting. Like you're taking your logic out of it. So
they're trying to convince us that they're not.
Yeah. Today we're going to talk about ring gear. I remember as a kid, I sent you guys a picture the other day of two main plates or center plates from, I say plates, they were cardboard, but they were belts that I used to make. And I had two of them still left over. My sister found them when she was cleaning out my father's house after he passed away. I'd tucked away somewhere, and it was funny that those were still around. You could still read them and what have you. It had been many, many years since I had done those. But the other thing that I did is when I would dress up socks with a Sharpie, coloring in laces were my boots. Yeah. And obviously I couldn't wear trunks because those were just underwear.
Yeah.
No kid wants to do that.
I always wore long pants, so I could wear sweatpants and those socks pulled up over the bottoms of them. Perfect. That was my gear. Other than Mick Foley, have you seen anyone have any cheaper gear than I had as a kid?
Oh, dude. Oh my gosh. You're joking? Oh, man. We've seen.
Okay, we've been on the indies for quite a while. So I've seen some.
Hey, Ross, can we tell the humbling Japanese story of the shoe polish?
Yeah.
That was hilarious, dude.
It was just me trying something. Okay, go ahead.
You got to tell the whole story.
So what'd you do?
Okay, so my look was kind of bland in Japan, I thought, and I just needed a little splash of color, like down, because I had a little bit on my trunks, a little bit on my kick pads. I just needed a little splash on my shoes, and so I was gonna make the outline of the outside of my shoes yellow. In Japan, and I don't speak the language, so I just go into a store and look for the color yellow, and I found some I guess it was fingernail polish. Okay, and so I was in my hotel room the night before, it looked so sad. I was painting my shoes with
fingernail polish.
Yeah, fingernail polish. And then so
he had it all over his knuckles the next day, his fingertips and stuff. Oh man. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, I had little bits and pieces of it all over me. But so we were at the show, and the second I put on my shoes to train, my wrestling shoes, I go and I take a knee to stretch my leg, and wherever my foot touches, there's a streak of like a lightning bolt of yellow, like everywhere I'm walking.
Dude, Ross, it was a match, dude. It was a match, and you were locked up with Segura, and I remember he spun you around, and it was like, what's that little math tool or a geometry tool when you make
protractor?
Yeah, protractor.
Yes.
Yeah,
he made a perfect circle. I know, that was really funny. Yeah,
and I was laughing super hard because the Japanese wrestlers didn't know what it was, and we got in the back, and they were pissed, like, blah, 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 somebody, blah, blah. They're yelling, and then they started pointing at everybody.
Yeah, I know. And you know, I started like trying to like hide my feet, like put them behind, because like everyone's speaking Japanese, and they're pointing at the yellow streaks, and they're looking at people's shoes, and it's all in Japanese, and I'm just like,
already there was a generational like grudge a little bit. They knew, because we're third generation, where they want to really see if there's any quit in you, and so they were already like beating the crap out of us, all this stuff, making us fight, and that did not help at all.
I bet it didn't.
That was in the midst of it too.
So we're talking about gear today, and some maybe even some of our favorites. And your favorite doesn't have to be the most outlandish either, or the fingernail polish shoes, or in my case, my tube socks with Sharpie.
When I was a kid, it was just whitey tighties and tape, man.
Whitey tighties and tape. Exactly. It could be that. But what goes into gear? Because it is part of the ultimate presentation. Do you remember what it was like? Well, not for you, Marshall, but Ross, your first pair of boots. Do you remember getting your first pair of wrestling boots?
Yeah, I started out with kick pads, and so I did the shoes, but
what shoes did you use?
I just did the classic wrestling shoes, like the amateur wrestling shoes. And we had our gear made. Our first set of gear was made by the same guy that makes Rey Mysterio stuff in Japan. Hayashi, that's right. And yeah, he's, a lot of the boys know him. He's like famous in the business. But yeah, our first gear was like top of the line pretty much. So
it was, man.
You knew some people.
We knew a guy.
What did your first pair of trunks look like?
Here, can I grab them real quick? They're right here.
So that guy Hayashi, he made so he knew the finish was the claw.
Yep.
And he knew Von Erich VE, and so he was the one. So everyone sees the VE symbol that we put everywhere, and so Hayashi, he was the one that made that. It was an iron claw, and he made a V. And then the E like that on the it was just genius, and it worked so well, and came up with the color scheme, and there you go. They used to be bedazzled in the middle, and
we lost a stone like every
other match one would come off.
That's awesome. But you both had the same trunks, black.
Exactly.
Yeah, mine have a red outline to them.
Okay,
Marshall's had blue.
That is really cool. Hayashi made those.
Yeah, man. He was a cool dude. What we didn't know is, because we're just kids, we're like, okay, yeah, we agreed. And then our checks got smaller for like 2 years, dude. They took a chunk out of the
it was like several $1,000s for that. And man.
For two pair of trunks.
Dude, it was so expensive. Man.
Wow. But it's like getting a Picasso or something, technically.
Dude, I think that's why I have a resentment about wearing too much stuff, because I was so mad we had to pay that money. Like I was like, dude, I'm not wearing anything else.
Yep.
I'm just gonna wear trunks, keep it
black
simple.
Trunks.
Yeah.
Do you wear knee pads, right? Both of you
wear knee pads. Mm-hmm. Ross made me and talked me into it. I wasn't going to.
And so you have black trunks and knee pads, and so talking about that and how you get that stuff around. So if you have to, I'm assuming you wash them in the sink in a hotel, what have you. But if
you don't wash,
you're like, no, you don't wash anything. Just
you set them on the air conditioning vent, or you set them on top of the lamp.
That's what Dad taught us. Taught us.
Okay. So, but you don't take any extra pairs with you.
You try to take 2 or 3 pair. In my case, I don't know about Marshall though.
Yeah, well, I mean, I only have 3 pairs of trunks, and then those.
In general, okay.
Yeah, those.
But they're all black, so you're.
They're all black. I've just tried to. What grabbed me was my grandpa wearing the black trunks in Japan, and I don't know. I think it's cool, and it's Stan Hansen, all that stuff. Yeah,
that's easy. Yeah,
mustache, black trunks.
Stone Cold went to it with black trunks and black boots. It became a signature for him. So
no, yeah, and black it conveys like seriousness, intensity. I can tend to be really jokey, and so when I want, it's hard for me to seem serious. And so wrestling, I try to I want to be serious or whatever.
And like in NASCAR, as a Dale Earnhardt, he had the black number 3 car, and he was like the intimidator.
Yep. May God rest his soul.
Yep. Like when you have a black colored theme, it kind of symbol, like, Steve Austin, like power, mystery, kind of a little bit
for black, right?
Yeah. Undertaker. Yeah. Like a lot of the guys that wore black were serious guys.
I feel like, because you would think, oh, that's a heel thing to wear black. But I feel like for me too, it takes, it didn't take away from what I'm doing in the ring. Yeah. It's like, I'm here to professional wrestle. You see some guys' gear is just insane, but some of them don't need, like Will Ospreay doesn't need to dress insane. He's an incredible athlete, great wrestler.
Right. So you've got guys like Ric Flair, though, who come out in robes, or you have Seth Rollins, who comes out in this outlandish, especially for WrestleMania. And I know everybody steps it up for WrestleMania. Undertaker, you mentioned Undertaker. He's got the hat and he's got the big, duster jacket. It started with just one you could probably go into a Western store and grab, but then turned into something way more elaborate. How do those costumes, for lack of a better term, the gear that they wear, get from one place to the other? I don't see Undertaker walking around with 3 suitcases going from town to town.
That's the promotion right there.
Okay, yeah. Well, when you're up there with the dead man, then you got like a crew of people. I mean, I think you just leave your stuff at the show, and the crew takes your whole thing. Like when you get to a show like at AEW, they have a whole truck with everyone's gear in it.
I'm learning new stuff about pro wrestling, being at AEW, how much effort they put into the stuff that you really don't see or think about.
Like what?
So they have a guy with a sewing machine, literally making trunks, making like the gear for people the whole time. I went up and I was like, hey dude, my patch is falling off. Fixed it in like 3 seconds, like 10 times better than I ever would have done. Cause I sewed it myself. I hand sewed it. And so it was, he said, who did this? And I was like, I don't know. Yeah,
small child.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not outing myself.
Fan.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
But just the seriousness.
A seamstress. And I kind of figured that, but are they making, or are they just repairing stuff? Are they making brand new stuff for people all the time?
Yeah, they do both. And so it's crazy how involved they are, because not anybody can make gear, but they make gear for people, but also they have great ideas. And they're the guy I was working with, he wanted to throw in like a different color thread. I have the most simple gear ever, but for me, I was like, that was a big risk.
Yeah, sure.
Red thread. Yeah, but it's stuff like that. I didn't know really what went into it, and like they have just carts of makeup for the women wrestlers or whatever. There's just, it's crazy. They take up like 2 or 3 rooms.
That's incredible. What now? You mentioned that, like for Deadman, for Undertaker, gear would go with the crew, but I can't imagine that there was that stuff going on in the NWA for Ric Flair. How did he get robes places to places?
Yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah, I wonder how
they must have just. Yeah, they must have just done it, They must have just old schooled it,
Because there's so many stories. Even Dad would say of Ric Flair wearing his robe on the airplane, and
that's all.
So, yeah, I was gonna say just that. Just that.
I've heard that. Yes,
it's crazy how many people tell that story, and I was like, my dad started telling that in front of Rick, and I was like, oh, he's probably embarrassed. No, he's not embarrassed.
Rick's not embarrassed at all. Yeah. I'll probably show you if.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I'm good, man. Stop.
I'll come back in just my robe. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I don't know how many ladies were with you at the time. If I had to guess.
Oh man.
But okay, so who are some of you mentioned Stan Hansen was yours, Marshall, because that's kind of how you modeled your stuff. Ross, any favorite gear guys?
Honestly, like Ricky Steamboat, if you notice, he always wore brighter colors, and like me personally, I'll wear, like I notice I wear a lot of silver, and like silver for me is kind of like the flashier cousin of black. It gives off modern,
sure,
or even like cosmic vibe, I guess. And then I'll throw in some white in there, and then white, obviously, heroism, honor. You know, it's like in Steamboat, he just, you saw him like,
Yeah.
Sometimes he had gear that was completely all white, and it worked for him. It just showed, like, you automatically knew that's the good guy.
Yeah.
You know, and so
Yeah,
I thought that
man.
was, you know, and you're starting to see more quote unquote baby faces doing lighter colors, not
Yeah, that's
necessarily
cool,
like
dude.
just white or silver, but
I feel like it's really hard to do with dark colors and be a baby. Or hard, but you just don't see it done as much. I feel like I could be wrong, but like Stone Cold was a kind of like it wasn't supposed to be a baby face. He was like the rugged baby face,
Yeah.
you know. And then he ended up being. You get tired of hating him, and you start loving him.
he's
Goldberg,
the first of his
like,
kind, obviously.
Yeah. The
Goldberg,
Rock,
Goldberg had a similar look as well. In fact, so much they, during the Attitude Era, they would get mixed up for each other. Oftentimes, I've seen them talk.
Really,
about that.
Goldberg and Steve Austin.
And Steve Austin, yeah.
Dude, we got mixed up with them as kids. I always
You didn't know who was who?
Yeah, my dream
That was my dream match. I got that because like it was WCW,
Dang, I didn't know.
WWF, and like I remember when we got both action figures. We're like, oh, this is like so forbidden what we're doing.
Yeah,
we had like the ring and the Titantron and stuff.
I can't believe you remember that stuff. Dang, I thought those were locked away.
Those guys had great gear though, because it was easy.
Yeah, Andre the Giant, I loved his gear.
Singlet.
Yeah, singlet, or even Big Show. I loved when he did this thing. I wish somebody would do that again, but wrestling is just evolving, and I don't know if I'm just if I need to change or what. But
hey, speaking of bright colors, who else is super well known for wearing bright colors and being a baby face? You might even say so bright he looks like a Fruit Loop.
John Cena.
There you go.
I
didn't say that. The Rock said that, but that's just a good example of the bright colors, and he knows what he's doing. There's intention behind it. So
he still calls him Fruity Pebbles.
Hey, I have a controversial thing to throw out there. So we, as for the wrestlers, so it's like as far as the wrestlers go, wrestlers always put John Cena over because John Cena obviously is great at what he does. He was the guy for that long. And he's like a robot. He's going to give a great promo. He's not going to mess up. He's not going to say anything controversial, all that
machine,
stuff. But do you guys, especially you, Anthony, I want to see what you think. My problem with professional wrestling or indie professional wrestling is the overacting, the 1, 2, it's just too much, too animated, I feel like. And so I was watching The Rock and John Cena and Cody or CM Punk or Cody, I forget who it was, but all three in the ring. And then CM Punk's music comes on, and I thought John overreacted. I don't know if it's because he's been out for so long that he knows people are watching him. I'm not sure. But did y'all catch on to anything, or is that just me?
I know what you're talking about. I know Roman Reigns will do like cinema movie screen reactions.
Roman Reigns
totally opposite.
Brilliant.
So good. Yeah. He also has the wise man on his side. So I think there's a lot of cinematic stuff coming from Paul Heyman for those instances. But I've always thought John Cena was over the top. Everything, all moves are over the top. And I we saw the promo this past Monday, which or not this past, the Monday before last, where on St. Patrick's Day. We saw John come out and do a heel promo, and that was much more subdued, much more. Although some of his mannerisms were a lot for a heel, I would say. I say a lot. They're not as animated as when he's a baby face, which he'll say, I'm not a baby face, I'm not a heel, I'm a human being, which is what he said in his promo as a heel. But he was different for sure. And I think that's an art that we could talk about here on the podcast soon, the art of playing a heel or playing a baby face.
I never thought about that, but
because they're, especially for a guy like him, much, much different than the, hugging babies and kissing hands. He's now shaking babies and kissing hands. He does not care, and I love the attitude from him. I think we'll see that turn back around, which maybe we'll talk about next week on the podcast. Wrapping up this gear podcast, would love to know what your favorite gear, or one that there's many that we did not mention on this one, so this leaves it open for you. If you're watching on YouTube, drop a comment with your favorite gear, one that we didn't mention here, one that stood out to you as a kid, or maybe stands out to you now. We have Seth Rollins, we have Undertaker. We have Ric Flair. Who else? You mentioned Ross, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. His was great as well. Yeah, I thought it was a little over the top when he went to WWE or WWF at the time when he wore the headgear, whenever that was. That may be a WCW. I don't remember which one, but the headgear and the whole dragon thing. I was like, okay, we get it. But other than that, I just the normal in-ring wrestling being a part of what made him great in the ring was some of that gear, and want to know who else that we may have missed, because I know that we did here on this podcast today. Drop that comment if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening, thank you so much, and make sure you subscribe wherever you're taking this podcast in, and we look forward to hearing from you and reading some of your comments on next week's podcast. Guys, good to see you today.
Thank you, Anthony. It's good to see you. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and God bless.
You bet. We'll see y'all next time here on the Claw Pod.